So tonight I want to make a guide for the vault, specifically rating the vault as you do as a shadow. So you can go to the menu here in the upper right, choose shadows, activities, and raid the vault. You see the times, the days and times listed, and you choose navigate, and you can go there and go in with a random group or a pre-made. Of course, ideally you want a good cohesive pre-made group, and ideally somewhat around the same resonance for reasons I will be explaining. But if you go up here, you will see that you can get a certain amount of hilts and chests, which give hilts and gold each week. And yeah, it's a great source for both hilts and gold to cap that every single week. Some tips that I have for you. One is to start out with a good PvP build for your class, and you can ask me if I have recommendations for your particular class. I may link to some in the comments or in the description. But I'm actually using Riger's Gaming's his I think second latest build. It's a burst DPS build, and I'm pointing out some differences. One is that I am using four Vithus, two mana banks instead of the other way around, and that's not intentional. That I mean it is, but it's only because my Vithus items are better than my Mountain Bank items at the moment. So I would recommend sticking with his setup instead. What is ideal for me is the gem setup, and this is actually very similar to the gem setup that Oroth uses in his uh, second latest dungeon build for Crusader. And yeah, I can link that. I'll link that as well. And you can see him go into the reasoning behind all the gems. But well, I can do it briefly. So Misery Elixir is great for these type of builds because um, particularly ones that resolve damage over time effects, like with Torrential Refrain and the Heart of Grandeur. And so the you want to extend the duration of your damage over time effects because and get more ticks of damage, and that way they'll all be resolved and deal more damage whenever torrential refrain hits, whenever your condemn hits. Uh, okay, and bottled hope. It's I just he uses pain class instead, but I really just love the cooldown reduction on bottled hope. Um, Chip of Stone Flesh pairs very well with Blinding Wall, causes you to do more damage to enemies suffering loss of control. Mother's Lament and Roiling Consequence are great DPS gems in general. Crit Chance is one of the best uh, attributes for DPS. Then we've got Everlasting Torment and Viper's Bite. Those are continuous damage gems, which are great for this build again with these dot purge builds, like with Torrential Refrain and Heart of Grandeur. Um, and Yeah, those will also be resolved instantly whenever condemn ticks. And in general, Viper's Bite is better, but in this build, Everlasting Torment really shines because it's triggers on critical hits, and it's this build uses Arrow Keeper, which gives you 100% critical hit chance. Now your crit chance won't be wasted because it'll be converted to critical hit damage. Um, with Arrow Keeper, but there we go. So those are very strong for this build, and obviously Blood Soaked Jade is a great gem in general. Gives you damage and movement speed. So other differences, and in general, when you have a PvP build that is maybe recommends Brawler, for example, like uh, like this Riger's Gaming build recommends, the right side of Brawler, I would still use Gladiator for Vault because death is permanent unless you get resurrected by an ally. But death is definitely a bigger deal in Vault than it is in Battlegrounds where you respawn. So definitely use Gladiator, including Cheat Death, and this is a favorite of Kill Switches, which includes Cheat Death, First Aid, Cold Formation, Uncontrollable, and Grizzled Veteran. Another difference that I've got from Riger's Gaming's build is that he uses Benefactor. This cannot occur more often than once every 30 seconds, and Death's Release, it cannot occur more often than once every 10 seconds. So Death's Release can happen more often, and it's when your continual damage, harmful effects expire, they explode. And this build is all about continual damage effects expiring. So if you want to really maximize your damage, in my opinion, this is a great option instead of Benefactor for this particular build. Okay. Now, other things that can help you optimize for Vault in general are related to your shadow rank. Of course, um, if you go to my rank, of course, complete your weekly goals and do your path of blood and everything. So you get more higher rank, which increases your damage and your defense. And the other thing is with your clan. I'm in a solo clan, and I'm pretty proud that I just got it to rank 6 all by myself. So um, you always want to pick uh, leaps and bounds first. They increase marks, but then before your clanmates actually start doing anything shadow related, and then after that, if you're PvP focused, obviously pick PvP focused advantages. And I've got my first one here, and these can really add up. But in the videos I'll be showing, I actually don't have any PvP related advantages. So I'm missing those that a lot of shadows will have. Um, I'll mention some other differences between what I'm running and what Rogers Gaming is running. One is the cursed properties. I'm using 6 nettled and 2 ghosted. And I'm using 6 nettled because I have shields from some of my items having 3 barrier, which gives a family bonus that grants a shield now and then. So just so you know, Conjuration of Light is not a shield. A shield is something that absorbs a certain amount of damage before it expires. And so only use nettled if you have a reliable shield. And contrary to common misperception, nettle does not grant a shield. It gives you a counterattack when you get a shield, which is nice. And then ghosted increases your survivability. So that's what I'm running. Other optimization tips. Now, if you want to learn more about increasing your maximizing your power and versatility with legendary gems, check out my guide that I'll link in the description, all about legendary gem features. If you don't have, um, the ideal gems ranked up to max rank, there's one thing that I neglected to mention in that guide, which is auxiliary gems. Do not use that feature unless you don't have the gem that you want. And there's certain gems that are better than others as auxiliaries. In general, gems that give their most important effect starting at rank 1, because you'll only get the rank 1 effect. So Starfire Shard and Maw the Deep, they both give their loss of control effect or crowd control or whatever effect at starting at rank 1. So those are good candidates. Same with Spiteful Blood. It gives your, immunity, temporary immunity to primary attack starting at rank 1. Um, yeah, they give the main advantage at full effect starting at rank 1. Most other gems do not. So keep that in mind. You want to prioritize set gear that has 3 sockets instead of 2. Now they've made a change where the highest quality gear will always have a maximum number of sockets for the set items. The rings, for most builds, blue is best for builds that rely on high potency like this. Yellow is a good option as well. And then as far as enchanting, once you get your main gear to rank 30, you can enchant. And if you don't have your gear to rank 30 yet, you can just keep your eye out for this. Of course, you also want to prioritize your primary attributes of fortitude and willpower. But as far as magic attributes, um, there's some that are generally good, like movement speed, skill cooldown reduction, and crit chance on your offensive items. Accuracy and evasion rating are basically only useful for PvP, but they can definitely be good in PvP. They're compared against each other. And then on your defensive items, definitely beneficial effects duration on the slots that can roll those. That and a special shout out goes to damage done to players increased and damage taken from players reduced, which are not strifed in PvP like most things are. That meaning most things are cut to 30% effectiveness in PvP, and these player specific ones are not. So those are some optimization tips that I hope will help. And if you take a look at my secondary attributes, you see them here. You see that I prioritize armor pen and then armor for this particular build, and then potency over resistance because this particular build calls for it. And you can see my attributes here. Let's look at our team comp here. This is one Tempest. And here are his attributes. He is just over 3K resonance. Now let's look at our other Tempest. Here are his attributes. And he is only 1.6K resonance, almost free to play. And then this is our Barbarian. His attributes, and he is running at 4K resonance. All right, so let's start with the first vault session, well, the first match. And the first thing I want to say is there are a few places that have been popular over the time of this game on my server cluster, at least, for the shadows to go to get ready to engage the Immortals. And um, this boss room has basically won out as the most popular. Okay, here we go. This is a team I've faced before. One tip that I'll give is it sounds messed up, but to focus and burst down the players that are most easy for you to kill, because they, if left to their own devices, they can certainly deal damage and crowd control and whatever else. So there we go, easy peasy. And I was excited for my first victory, so I didn't even realize that one of my teammates was down, but nonetheless he did a great job in helping us score that victory. Right, here's game two. Just to mention the other popular places for the shadows to wait for the Immortals that have been popular over in the past have been either right at the entrance to floor 4 to spawn camp them, or else on the right hand side, the little overlook there on the right hand side. But still, this boss room is one out in popularity. And of course, as a Crusader, well, with this particular build here, I'm, applying my buffs first as soon as I see the enemies coming, as soon as I see the red dots on the mini map. I'm looking for that. As the highest resonance player, I am basically keeping keeping guard near the entrance. All right, there we go. No Immortals left. And as I make my way over here, I will point out this is, yeah, one of the other places that's been popular to wait for the Immortals over the time this game has been out. Right. Now, game three. And I want to mention also that there are even other floors that have been popular over the time this game has come out. People have experimented with purposely letting the Sentinel sound the alarm on lower floors, but again, the consensus, the most popular option has come to be floor four, at least on my server cluster. Here I am certainly waiting. Also, I start with spamming my skills, activating my skills, as I mentioned, when I see the red dots on the mini map, and then I'm also timing and positioning the Conjuration of Light as a Crusader. Certainly want to protect my teammates. Another thing I'll mention here is that you really should not be opening these chests on fourth floor like my I don't haven't really paid attention to which teammate is doing that. And there's the reason for that is because if you lose on fourth floor and you've opened chests, that will count towards your weekly uh, limit, but you just won't get those rewards from you'll lose the rewards when you're defeated on that floor. You'll lose the rewards that you gained on that floor. You'll keep the rewards from previous floors, but lose the rewards from that floor, but it will still count against your weekly limit of how many chests you can open per week. So yeah, if you're going to be opening chests, you should ideally consult with your team before doing so and make sure that everybody's on the same page. Obviously, you want to open the chests on earlier floors, but refrain from doing so on the floor that you plan to fight the Immortals. Okay, I want to explain actually why the boss room has become the most popular place to wait for the Immortals. And it's because when you kill the boss, he drops a bunch of health potions. And it's been a while since I was an Immortal, but I believe that only the Shadows have access to those health globes. And I believe that both sides have access to the health globes from the pools that you can open there. But yeah, that's a significant advantage. And you notice if you go back and look at my gameplay again and notice here, uh, I'm very careful to take only the health globes that I need when I need them. So that's a significant part of my tactics when I play these games. Okay, so that's about all I wanted to mention as far as strategy goes. And oh, one other thing on the flip side of you want to target the weaker players first, or the ones that are easiest for you to kill. If you are squishy yourself compared to your team, you should probably have a build that is more focused on support, whether that be crowd control or buffing your team or debuffing the enemy, and try to stay safe. And one way to help you stay safe that I can't believe I haven't mentioned yet is to get a familiar that's got the savior skill. And you can search by skills in the market when you look for familiars. So it makes a huge difference. It makes even a bigger difference than cheap death from Gladiator because it has a lower cooldown. And if you really want to go all out with your PvP familiar, get one with a cat that's got high resilience to lower the cooldown of Savior even more. All right. Well, I really hope that this guide has been helpful. And If you found it helpful, please like and subscribe. And take care.